Hey, what's up? This is Sully from Godsmack. Strap on those boots, baby, because you are now in the trenches of the war room with the one and only Mistress Carrie right here on the Mistress Carrie podcast.
What's up? This is Joe Rogan, and you're listening to Mistress Carrie.
Her hair so lovely, pretty eyes.
Hey, this is Brent from Shinedown, and you're listening to Mistress Carrie. Hey, Carrie, go put your bra on, girl.
Hey, this is Steven Tyler, and you be listening to the baddest bitch in Boston, Mistress Carrie.
What's up? This is Aaron from Stain, and you're listening to Mistress Carrie.
Hi, everybody. This is Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters, and you're listening to the one, the only Mistress Carrie.
Hey, this is David from the band Disturbed, and you're listening to the baddest bitch in Boston, Mistress Carrie.
Hi, Bruce Dickinson here from Iron Maiden. Yes, indeed, Miss Whiplash herself, Mistress Carrie, is here to unchain your brain.
Hi, this is Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. You're listening to Mistress Carrie.
This is Dennis Leary. You are listening to my favorite, Mistress Carrie.
Hey, this is Corey from Stone Sour, and you have the privilege of listening to Mistress Carrie. Oh, God. Oh, yeah.
Hey, it's Mistress Carrie, reporting for duty from MCHQ for episode 324 of the Mistress Carrie podcast. My guest this week is singer, songwriter, engineer, producer, and all-around music legend Linda Perry, who not only is the frontwoman of Four Non Blondes, but has found massive success as a songwriter, producer, and engineer for some of the biggest names in music, like Christina Aguilera, Celine Dion, Dolly Parton, Pink, and so many others. Linda Perry just released her new solo album, Let It Die Here, and she's also the subject of a documentary of the same name that premiered globally on August 16th. We talked about everything from her new solo album to the role of women in rock to her nonprofit Equalizer to the upcoming Four Non Blondes reunion, film scoring, her pets, touring, and so much more. After meeting Linda Perry in Vegas earlier in 2026, she promised me that she would come on the show, and here she is. So allow me to introduce you to the one and only Linda Perry. Linda Perry, you are a woman of your word. I was honored to meet you in Vegas earlier this year. I asked you if you would come on the show. You said yes, and here you are.
Yes, I am here.
I appreciate you carving time out of what is an insane schedule.
Nothing's insane. I mean, this is the job. Not the job. I mean, it's what I like to do. So it's not insane to work and towards the things that are important to you. It's never is. So anybody says it's insane, it really isn't. There's always time. We just got to you have to have a great team. And you have to be a multitasker.
Yeah, multitasking is the biggest thing, and something a lot of artists find out they're either really good at or really bad at.
Yeah. I understand sometimes where people can feel overwhelmed in their life. You don't have to be a rock star or an actor to have that. People get overwhelmed, and there's certain people that can handle it and there's certain people that can't. And I'm one of those people that definitely can handle a lot on my plate.
When it comes to songwriting, which is something that I talk a lot about on the show because I'm so envious of the craft, because wherever that comes from, I don't have it. And I've heard different schools of thought when it comes to writing songs. I've had people like, say, Zakk Wylde tell me that he gets a song idea and he has to sit down, get it in his teeth, and see it through until it's finished and then move on to the next thing. And then I've talked to songwriters that get these little blips of inspiration, and whether they sing it into their iPhone or write it down in a journal, and they're able to revisit it later. Where do you fall in that spectrum of being able to kind of channel the inspiration?
Well, I probably sit in both, because when an idea comes and I have the time for it, and they come all the time. Ideas come while I'm in the middle writing a song, so if I'm in the middle writing a song and an idea shows up, I record the idea, I push it aside, I continue doing what I'm doing, and then I go back to it. Other than that, the song just presents itself as a whole, and I just receive it. I barely finesse with it. I don't argue with it. I don't wrestle with it. I just let it show up the way it is. And I try not to judge it because you never know what it is. And I tell my kids that I work with, just write the song. It may not be for you. Maybe for somebody else. It doesn't matter. Just write the song. Don't edit it just because it's not pop enough or rock enough or fast enough or slow enough. Just write the song.
I've heard songwriting described by some people as that the songs already exist and you're like a conduit to just make the song a reality. Is that how you feel?
Most of the time, yes. I feel like I'm tapped into, I'm very open creatively. I believe that you can call it whatever you want, creative gods, the universe, stars aligning, being in the harmony and resonating with your creative world. I'm just open for whatever experience the universe wants to throw my way. And the songs do come out pretty realized pretty quickly, as if they are pre-recorded. And I'm just pushing play and putting it out into, this reality.
Is there a place that you can go to that you feel more creative? And I don't mean your studio. Like, for some reason with me and other people that I've talked to, getting in the shower kind of loosens up creative juices. Is there an activity that you can do that's not music related that kind of will unblock something if you're struggling with an idea?
I'm never blocked, and I don't believe in that. That's to me, that's equivalent to a junkie saying they can't write without heroin. It's just another obstacle that we put in our way. I'm not blocked because I'm not thinking. And people who sit around and think about being creative, they have writer's block.
So it's just letting it happen and being open to it when it shows up.
That's just my way. That's what I believe in.
When I saw you in Vegas, you brought your acoustic guitar and you were talking about your new solo album that's out and also talking about putting Four Non-Blondes back together and releasing new music and all of these things that you're working on. And as you were playing acoustic, the look on your face almost seemed like you were surprised at how much a room full of people were freaking out. Is it overwhelming, the response that you've gotten to all of these personal projects for you, the solo album, the movie, the Four Non-Blondes reunion, when you're so used to working with other artists? Are you finally starting to realize how much we love you, is basically what I'm saying?
That's a hard one because I'm somebody who's never content. I'm never satisfied. That's one of my biggest struggles. And I was really emotional about a lot of things. One, that I'm sitting there playing, in front of a bunch of radio people, which reminded me that I used to do that a long time ago. 30 years ago. And I also remember the feeling of not having control in those moments, That was also emotional to me because we rely on so much. As an artist, you rely on so much. You rely on people helping you get from here to there. And you have no control. So I'm going to play the best that I can, but there could have been, 20 people in that room that decided that I suck and they're not going to invest any time into me. And then, you put yourself out in today's social media and people are just mean. People are very mean. And I never understand it because I don't understand what people get out of being mean because it doesn't do anything for them. That's the big question to me. It's like being mean isn't going to make your life better. It's not going to make you a better person. It's not going to make life easier for you to get from here to there. What it's going to do is make things harder for you. So why continue to be mean? So I feel like people should be opinionated. That's so important. But then there's just people that are downright just being mean because, whatever reasons going on in their life. So, there's a lot of obstacles. So when I was sitting there and how beautiful everybody was to me, a lot of things were going on, like, okay, this is great. But I start thinking ahead, about career, never about creative, but about life. So, I'm sorry that this is so long to answer, but it's a big question. It's not as easy as you asked. I am so excited and so happy about all the incredible things going on. The incredible feedback I'm getting on the film and my, the Four Non-Blondes shows, my album. And I'm so appreciative of that. But then there's another part that is layered with, is this going to get me to where I need to be? And then the cycle keeps going around in circles. So anyways, yes, I'm so excited about everybody, but I'm also, there's a bit of fear. There's fear because I want everybody to love me. I want everybody to love my album, but I have to do it organically and I have to be real. I can't be fake. I can't all of a sudden say all the right things because I'm never going to do that. I'm always going to be honest. I'm always going to be true to my word. I'm always going to deliver the most authentic version of myself creatively. And sometimes that just doesn't go over well.
Well, let me offer a theory on that. Because growing up, Four Non-Blondes for me was considered a local band because I'm talking to you from Massachusetts right now. And because you were born and grew up in Springfield, correct me if I'm wrong, but especially with women, there's a certain thing about Northeast women, Northeast people in general, Bostonians. We get all called Bostonians because Boston's the only place in New England people can name off the top of their head. But people from the Northeast are just a certain kind of way. They're authentic. They just say it like it is because it's a waste of time to beat around the bush. As someone that's been part of the music business for so long, and also someone that doesn't live in the Northeast anymore, are those personality traits so ingrained in your marrow still that sometimes it takes people off guard? Because we can be a lot.
Yeah, well, let me tell you about that, which is very interesting about me. Every time, I meet so many people that ask me, are you from New York or are you from the East Coast? And I'm always like, why do you ask that? They're like, because you talk a certain way and you have an accent, which I don't hear any accent in my voice whatsoever. And just the way you are, you have an East Coast vibe. And here's the funny thing about me. I was only born in Springfield. 1 year old, moved to California. I was raised in California. And, but I don't know how I maintain, but I do. I have this East Coast thing, but it's not because I lived there, because I didn't. I never lived in the East Coast. I was 1 year old, so I must have adapted really quick.
You're not the only artist that I've spoken to that was born here and left young and still maintains. It's got to be in the marrow. That's what I'm getting to. Like even if you were just born here and left a week later, there's part of that Northeast root that sticks no matter what.
Yeah. Well, my mom is also, she was Brazilian, very hardcore woman. And I know that, you know, if she wasn't Brazilian, she would have been raised in the East Coast because she was tough woman. My dad was actually born in Portugal, but raised in Boston. And he was kind of a pussy, you know, like he didn't have that. I had more of that at 2 years old than he did, you know, in his 50s. So it's interesting how that plays out, you know, and then it makes you believe that where you are born, time zones, all that thing, maybe there's certain energies that, you know, are just instantly, like you're saying, that we just are enveloped in. And, you know, because my mom did carry me in Boston for 9 months, you know, so
there's a lot of like horn honking, middle fingers while driving.
Yeah.
It's a certain kind of, I've noticed it being on radio stations in other parts of the country, that especially for Boston and Northeast women, I didn't realize, because we're all like this here, just how much we actually are. My husband's not from here, and he's like, oh yeah, you guys are a lot. But I appreciate that.
Yeah. I think I'm a lot because I just am a lot. You know, I'm a, you know, I definitely, I don't really hold back. I'm very vulnerable, as you know. I'm just, you know, I love giving people the full experience. Like, this is me. I know a lot of people that hide. My sister hides, you know, and I'm just like so not interested in the armor, but I'm a fighter. Like, guard will go up as soon as I feel an energy present, because I'm very good with energy. As soon as an energy shows up around me, I'm like, shoop, you know, and then I am protected. But as soon as that energy is gone, plop, I'm just like jello.
I wanted to talk to you about this time in music, because you've been in the business a really long time. I've been on the radio and seen music change so much for female artists, especially in the rock and metal community. And I talked to a lot of female artists on the show. I feel like right now is the time that we were hoping would show up someday. That when I got into radio in the 90s and there was only room for one female act on the air at a rock station, or only room for one female DJ on the air staff, that we always wondered if it would be possible for women to be, I don't want to say equal, but as present and as represented. And I feel like now is the time that maybe we thought would never come or wouldn't come fast enough. How do you feel? Because you've been in the business so long, you've been able to kind of witness walls coming up, walls going down.
I'm always pretty positive or hopeful in this space about women reaching an area where, yeah, I don't like using the word equal to, because I don't want to be equal to a man. I really don't. It's impossible. That's never going to happen, you know, because of why would we want to be equal to, you know, to that when we have our own beauty and our own authenticity, you know, who we are. There's a reason there's men and there's a reason there's women, and we have two completely different ways, you know. I feel like women have been charging forward more. I feel like the doors, I almost say, you know what? I almost want to say I feel there have been doors opened for a while, but maybe women have been reluctant walking through them because of what comes with that. That's the whole other difference with women, about the way they're thinking, the process of living life, the stress versus stress. Do I need this versus greed? Stuff like that. I don't think women are ever in my lifetime going to walk down the street and feel safe at 12 a.m. alone. I don't think we're ever going to be in that space, unfortunately. For me in this time, I don't think it's going to happen. We are dealing with obstacles that people, men just don't even understand. So it's like it's a kind of, an open thing because there's so much to challenge. There's so much to battle. There's so many things to fight. When you're a mom, you have to be protective of so many things to protect your child. And then if you have a daughter, you have to deal with a whole other thing, whole other level of how am I going to get my daughter,
prepared
in this world, And then as artists, I feel like women aren't, like their go-to isn't to be a producer. It's not as sexy. I think the go-to is to be the writer, to be the pop star, to be the rock star, to be the star. It's not to be the roadie, the lighting engineer, the producer in the room, the engineer in the room. It's not. So that's why I know there's a lot of, I run a bit, a charity organization called Equalizer, that where me and my partner, Alicia Ballard, we are continuing to try to help support women in the music business. But the truth is, a lot of them are, I'm like looking for engineers and producers, and there are a lot, but they don't stay with it. So, it's kind of like, I don't know, it's an overwhelming question. Yes, we are persevering, we are moving forward, but we're doing it at our pace. And then we're hitting the blocks because I don't understand why we're hitting the block. I really don't. I'm still trying to figure that piece out. Yes, it's because it is a man's world, a boys' club in the area, but honestly, I pushed through and had no problem because I never made it a problem.
I feel like women have gotten the power to say no. Like they've gotten to this level of success where they can say no, not no question mark, not no comma, not no period, no exclamation point. Where they know their worth and know their power now and can say no. And that's the end of the discussion, where I think it's taken a long time for female artists to I don't know, maybe understand that they had that power, because I feel like they always had it, but to be able to recognize it.
Yeah, but then I can go negative with you right now and say women have had the power to say no for a while, for a long time. Unfortunately, you have to think of days where women didn't even have any power to say yes or no, and that wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
But women have had the power to say no, and they do say no, and they're overpowered. So I think that, I don't, honestly, it's a hard one. In the music business, yes, there's women doing really amazing things, and I'm really proud of so many of those incredible producers. Taylor Momsen is doing amazing. She's been working at it really, really hard. I'm so proud of her for just, she's been working and working and working and working, and then she got a break, right? So that's what happens. We work, and then we catch a break of some sort. But there's a lot of people out there working and working and working that don't get a break at all.
You talking about the women working in like fields like engineering and, techs, roadies. I got into this business because I wanted to be an engineer. because I thought it would be amazing to kind of, on MTV, I grew up watching the videos of the recording studios and all of that, and did an internship in a recording studio and kind of realized like, oh, wait, maybe this isn't what I thought. But then I ended up a roadie and did that for years, rigging lights, driving semis, building stages, which I really loved, and kind of fell into this part of the business. I think part of it, because of my roots and the fact that I speak my mind and just do what I do, but also that life experience of loving the music and having that experience of driving the trucks and all of that stuff, that being on this side of the microphone, to be able to have conversations with artists about the other side of things has been a very interesting perspective, because I didn't set out to be on this side. I was the one plugging it in on the other side. I thought I was always going to be the producer or the engineer or something like that. And this all happened by accident. So when you talk about this nonprofit that you have and trying to get women into those jobs, sometimes a little luck, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, no, and we've given scholarships to girls that want to go into music school, learn about engineering. We give grants. I mentor. I host. We put these shows on. We have girls that have never been on stage before get up on stage and sing a song, and they're just like blown away. And it helps them too, because which ones are that are thriving on that stage, that are so like, oh my God. And then you see the ones that automatically, they're never getting back on that stage again. Yeah. And so it's interesting in that space, trying to help navigate. But then, Alicia Keys is amazing. Brandy Carla. I mean, there's so many powerfully just inspiring women out there that are doing it in a way that seems so like you can see what they have built. You can see the career that was built, and it was built on their time, on their choice, their way. It wasn't built to navigate and be strategic about how, if I go off on somebody, I'm a bitch and whatever. It's that whole theory. If Simon Cowell goes off at somebody, he's cool and powerful and just really outspoken. It's like, well, I'm like that, but I'm considered, different because of that.
That's why I started calling myself the baddest bitch in Boston, because then if you call me a bitch, I'm like, yep, you're right.
Yeah,
like it's on the bumper sticker.
Yeah, we have to navigate. There's so many things that we all, as humans, have to navigate on a daily basis. But I have to say, women have to navigate a hell of a lot more and have to be more strategic about how they move through life.
I have a theory about music, and I'm really curious your take on it, that your musical identity has kind of two phases. I call it the soundtrack to your childhood. So it's the music you got exposed to as a kid unwillingly, mom and dad, older brothers and sisters, cool uncle, neighbors. And then at some point in your adolescence, you hear something and you make the decision that you like that. And from then on, your musical kind of identity is yours. So if that theory is true, what's the soundtrack to your childhood? And then what was it that made you go, oh, hold on a second, I like this?
I was raised with a lot of different styles of music. My father loved Frank Sinatra and Brazilian music. My sister listened to Elvis and the Beach Boys. My brothers were listening to the Beatles and the Turtles and Zeppelin. And I just sat in the middle of all of it and just took it all in. I never actually gravitated towards anything specific. I loved Karen Carpenter. I loved The Jungle Book. I loved anything that had a dark undertone. With Karen Carpenter, she really stood out to me because I didn't have a great childhood. and her voice sounded like I felt. I wasn't listening to words. I was just listening to her tone. I grabbed towards her tone right away. And then it turned into when my sister was playing Beach Boys, I could hear that tone in there as well, in the harmonies. It was very sad. And then there were certain Elvis songs that she would play, and I'd gravitate towards that. So everything, I found the sadness in everything that my parents played, and my family. So I never grew up and said, this is my sound. It's still, all of that is all my sound. That's been my soundtrack of my life, not just my childhood.
Were you always a kid that was plugging stuff in and out and tinkering with electronics? How did you know you could be on the technical side? Where did you learn that expertise?
No, I never did any of that stuff. I learned it because when Four Non Blondes made the first record, I kept asking the producer, what is that? Why does my voice sound like that? Why does the guitar in the live room sound so big and rich and robust? And when I come in here, it sounds really tiny and small and far away. He never offered any answers, actually brushed me off as, why can't you just let me do what I'm doing? And I took note. I took a big note on that. I was like, oh, mind you, this is my first introduction into the music business. So I took a very, capital letters note on the way he was treating me and looking at me. And again, the story has been out a bazillion times, but, then What's Up, I took the band in and I produced that. I got the sounds with the house engineer at the studio at the time. And it was then did I say, that's never going to happen again. So after that, and I started getting money, I wasn't buying homes or fancy cars. I was buying gear. I just started buying gear. Had no idea what I was buying. Had no idea how to work any of it. But I just started buying it and putting it together. And then it was when I did my In-Flight record with Bill Bottrell. He was an incredible teacher. I called him the professor because I had so many questions and he would answer every single one of them. He was so generous with his time and knowledge, and I learned most of everything from him.
Your music, whether it's What's Up with Four Non Blondes or the incredibly long list of songs that you've written with other artists, I would imagine is impossible to get away from. I talked to Everlast recently, and I was like, where's the craziest place you've bumped into your own music where the people around you didn't know that it was your music? And he was talking about being at the supermarket at the Olive Bar and bumping into his own songs. Has there been a place that you were just like, I can't believe I'm bumping into my own songs right now?
I mean, yeah, it happens a lot of places, in supermarkets, walking by, some bar that's blaring it, cars driving by, buskers on the street, restaurant where I'm eating. People send me things all the time of people singing the songs. They'll send me videos. But there's nothing weird about that to me. It's expected. It's like when you write songs, I want to be able to bump into them. That's the whole point,
Yeah.
I'm looking for that. I can't wait for that. I can't wait for someone to, send me a video of during COVID, Italy, we're hanging out the windows singing What's Going On. It was the most incredibly beautiful thing I've ever seen. And then to get on stage and sing a song that you wrote alone with no intention really, but just to be creative. And then you see 70, 80,000 people singing along to it. I mean, isn't that the point? I would never be surprised about it. I'm like, I'm looking for that. I'm hoping for that. Not because I want that success. It's because I want my creative to be heard. I mean, that's why I do it. I mean, I wish I could say I'm doing it just for myself and I never want anybody to hear any of my words or songs. That's just not true. I write for myself, but yeah, I want people to hear it. I do. I want to hear it on the radio. I want it to blow up. I want that because it gives me that's what I get back in return. And then it inspires me, and whatever.
Is it a different muscle group to work on music for visuals? Because I've had a lot of people on the show that have done film scoring or scoring for, television shows. When you're writing music in a room by yourself, for yourself, songs, lyrics, or writing it for someone else's visuals and creative, is it a different skill set, different muscle group for you?
Yeah, because it's not about me. It's not about my feelings, my emotions, and my story. When you score a film, it's about the film and the director's vision. And you have to help guide emotions, but not lead emotions. So you have to come up with sounds or melodies that don't get in the way, but support the scene. You have to work with more people because, again, it's not about you. You got, 50 other people to deal with that are all going to have different ideas, different references to give you. So the tool I have to exercise the most is patience and understanding of the information that's being given to me. So I just need to listen and I need to be patient. And I have to let go of ego.
Let It Die Here, your first solo album, which seems kind of weird to say at this stage in your career, is out now. You're touring. When are you coming home to play a show in the Northeast?
I'm going out with the Indigo Girls. I believe we have a date out there. I don't know exactly what it is. Megan, do you happen to know?
Yeah, I'll pull it up right now.
Let's see if Megan knows. I do believe we are out there. I just don't know when. And then Four Non Blondes will be touring too. And I don't have dates for that yet, but there's a lot going on because I'm juggling Four Non Blondes and Linda Perry, which is great, but they're two different artists, So I'm sure we'll be out there.
And I have to ask you the songwriting question that I ask every songwriter that comes on the show. Is there a song by any other artist, any other genre, any other era that you look at from a craft perspective and say that song is perfectly crafted? Oh man, I wish I wrote that song.
I've never once wished to have written someone else's song. Doesn't even enter my brain. It's so beautiful when someone writes something that you can be inspired by. If I wrote it, I wouldn't I don't know, I wouldn't have the same inspiration because you don't, anything that I write is not perfect. Nothing is it's like you're overly critical with your own music. So I never want to take a song that I think is actually amazing and wish that I wrote it because I'd never be able to hear it that way. So I'm so grateful to hear, The Joke from Brandi Carlile or, How Soon Is Now, or Comfortably Numb, or, Telephone Call, just any of these, songs, and just listening to them and going, holy hell, these songs are great. Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, just any of these songs, like, it's so amazing. God Only Knows. It's like, why would I fuck things up and wish for that I wrote that? It's just so, no, I'm truly so grateful for all the incredible artists out there that are writing such beautiful, inspiring songs that just move you internally and just emotionally just hug you and take you on a journey. And isn't that what music is all about? It's so amazing.
I have to ask you the Geezer question before I let you go, because I know you're busy. Geezer Butler came on the show and talked about how he and his wife had 13 cats and 5 dogs. And I was like, how the hell do you keep track of animals like that? Huge animal lovers and activists. And he was like, we named them all after rappers. And Geezer Butler knows more about rap than I was prepared for, because he started rattling off all of the names of his beloved cats and dogs. So every time somebody comes on the show, I ask you about the animals in your life and where you came up with the names, because every musician seems to have this relationship with their animals. Are you one of those people?
I have had 17 dogs in my life, all adopted, all rescued, and what a joy. They have all been teaching me how to be a good parent. That's how I learned how to be a good parent, is through my animals, not through my parents. Unfortunately, they were terrible. But my animals really taught me how to be a parent, because that nurturing, that what's the word? What's the word when you have, God, I'm blanking out. Anyways, they just have this whole like unconditional love and
like instinct.
Yeah, and they just want to love you, and they want to be loved, and they want to please you, and they're so innocent and just so happy and so amazing, and they need you, and you need them more than they need you. And so anyways, I've watched a lot of my animals, my babies just die, and it's like I can think about my dog Happy when I was 5 years old, and I could cry like that still. My dogs right now, I have Pablo and Nacho. And Nacho came from the name. So I wanted to call Rhodes, my child, Nacho Supertramp. And Sarah looked at me like, there's no way we are calling our child Nacho Supertramp. I'm like, it's the best name. What is wrong with you? Anyways, so Rhodes wanted to call Nacho for me. You always loved that name, so let's call, this doggy Nacho. I'm like, okay. So then when we found Pablo, he just looked like a Pablo, just instantly. So I got Nacho and Pablo. And, I don't know where the names come from. Rhodes came, but I've had Huxley, I've had Chiquita, I've had Lulu, I've had Happy, I've had Valentine. So many dogs. Buck, Moose. Oh, all my Lulu, Lola and Lulu. It's just, I don't know. I couldn't be the same person without that companionship.
Megan, did you find a date Because
it did. The closest one is going to be October 4th in DC. That's the most north and most east.
That's why I was asking, because I looked and I was like, wait, is there?
Okay, you know what?
Please come to the Northeast.
I'm telling you, I will. You put on some great party and I'll come and play it. If you put on a show or anything backyard party,
I was going to say, if you want a party, I'll throw it in the backyard this weekend if it gets Linda Perry back to Massachusetts.
I'll do a backyard party for you, and you can go and tell everybody, and we'll cram your house, or find a place. But yeah, I promise I will get out there.
It was such a pleasure to sit down and talk to you. You're a woman of your word. You said you would do it, and you did. Congratulations on everything.
Thank you.
And I can't wait to get you with the band back in the Northeast. So thank you so much for your time.
You bet. Thanks for taking your time.
There she is, the one and only Linda Perry. Her new album, Let It Die Here, is available everywhere. The rollout for the documentary of the same name is happening now on digital streaming platforms. You can get more details on the album and the movie. I've got all of Linda Perry's links in the show notes of this episode. You'll also find this episode's corresponding playlist. I make a playlist for every full-length episode of the Mistress Carrie podcast that features all of my guest music and all the artists and songs that we referenced in the interview. You'll also find all the Mistress Carrie links in the show notes as well. If you liked what you heard, don't forget to like, follow, comment, share, and subscribe to the Mistress Carrie podcast. New full-length episodes come out every Wednesday. Plus, every weekday, you get the Sit Rep. The Situation Report gives you all of your rock news, music headlines, and entertainment updates in around 5 minutes. You never know when we're going to release a bonus episode. Join me live every Tuesday night at 8:30 Eastern for my weekly live streaming video show, Cocktails in the War Room, and you can always find me on the radio. Get the details on all of that and more at mistresscarrie.com. The Mistress Carrie podcast, a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network.